Hello there, I'm Tim and he's John, and this is How to Murder Time, a podcast about games and things.
Still cold then?
Yes, I'm got my coat on because it's quite fresh in the studio here.
It's nice in the summer.
No, it's
No,
too hot.
it's too hot in the summer.
Yeah. I shouldn't be complaining really. I was out hiking in the 0 degrees and 1 degrees yesterday, so I should be used to this kind of rugged outdoors.
Did you do the
alpine.
research? I sent you the link to do a day late.
No. Well, I sort of went past the place you were on about.
Yeah.
I went past the mine scene, the place where they filmed the mine scene, exploding mine in Live and Let Die.
Did you know that beforehand?
Is it Live and Let Die?
No, it's License to Kill.
View to a Kill?
View to a Kill. License to Kill is different. Yeah,
The
View to a
Christopher
Kill.
Walken one.
Yeah, which is a terrible film. Did you know it was filmed there?
No, but I could see why. I sort of walked up the side of the gorge that it's and then onwards on my trekking. So
The thing I really like about that is it's all, it's in around San Francisco, and then just this bit, obviously not in San Francisco.
yeah, just completely wrong geology and everything. Yeah,
That looks a bit like the South Downs.
it was the pantomime era of the
Yeah,
James
it was.
Bond franchise, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's good. So no, but I played lots of games. Shall I talk about them?
if you must.
See, look at that handbrake turn of a segue there. Get back on track. I go and talk about lots of things that are not the static group games because I
Huzzah.
play stuff in the other times of my
Other
week
day.
as well. Other day, and the occasional 15 minutes here and there. Stellaris.
Okay,
Still playing
yep,
Stellaris. I'm really enjoying Stellaris, but it's an odd thing. I can't just play a quick casual go at that. That needs to be you have to set aside a whole Sunday afternoon to get stuck in on
The
that.
problem I always have with that kind of game is I don't want to go back after I've started.
Well, yeah, you get. This has happened with Anno 2070. I got
Yeah.
really far, and I got so far that I thought, oh god, I can't start this game up again because it's going to collapse. I managed to save myself into a corner, and I couldn't work out how to continue. And I thought, if I ever play this again, it's going to all come crashing down, and I'll lose like 50 or 60 hours worth of work. So I'm just going to leave it and walk away. And it's otherwise a very good game. But Stellaris is going well. So I don't know if I talked about it. So I had the playthrough where I was the happy clappy Starfleet style blue human empire, and that went badly because I just got stomped by a neighbouring empire who thought I was insignificant and
Fair
were
enough.
right. So I thought I'd try the red spiky banners and black logos type grey uniforms empires type human empire and have a go at those, and that was fine, but I found myself developing up in a galaxy where everyone else was much more powerful than me. And
It's always a problem if you're space fascists and not the most powerful
space
people around.
fascists who no one takes seriously
Yeah.
were scared of. Yeah. So but I did find another empire that was slightly less powerful than me, and that was the happy clappy blue Starfleet empire for humans. Yeah. So my very first subjugation was the other human lot.
You're definitely the mirror episodes of Star Trek.
It just went badly with little goatee beards and stuff. And I declared war on them because I thought, right, here we go, then let's get stuck in, let's grow my empire by the traditional means usually presented to you in a kind of military style thing. And it turned out that the happy clappy Starfleet empire had allied themselves into a defensive pact with one of the vastly powerful alien empires, and they all
That made perfect sense.
yeah, and I sort of stomped a couple of human worlds, and then the doom stack from the empire next door came along and just utterly destroyed it all. And there was lots of fireworks and small teddy bear creatures singing, and yes, it went pretty badly.
Did you learn a lesson? Did you learn an important
I
lesson?
learned a valuable lesson. So my third playthrough, which I'm currently still on, is the blue Starfleety happy clappy human empire again, and this time I'm using the interface to learn things about information and how to play the game. There's an overlay.
Novel.
Yes, there's an overlay mode you can pick on the bottom corner, which instead of all because the galaxy map of Stellaris is fantastic. It's all brightly coloured areas of influence, a big galaxy all around it, and you really get that sweeping sense of galactic destiny from it all. And that's all very nice, and each empire's got different colours, and those colours are largely based on the background colour of their little logo, their banner and stuff, which is fine. But if you look at the little things in the bottom corner, you can tick one which changes the colours to show you their opinion of you. So, grading from red, I'm going to kill you, through to green, I'm going to look after you if someone else tries to kill you.
Yeah.
So you got all that. There's quite a subtle diplomatic game in there involving all sorts of points-based actions and various levels of acceptance and what they're prepared to do and not do, and how likely they are to want to come and stomp on you with a doomstack. So. And then you've got this traditions thing. So certain structures generate unity points. When you get enough unity points, you can pick a perk off of these 7 different areas of influence. And one of those areas is diplomacy. And once you start in on those perks, you have a thing called a trust cap. So basically, the amount of trust that another empire has of you goes up over time. The longer you successfully don't backstab them or break any trade agreements or whatever, and that goes up and up. Eventually, it caps at a certain level. Now, if you're starting on the diplomacy
get them just at the cap.
Well, you try and build up cooperation. You know, they trust you because you've gone 50 years without surprise Death Star, which is surprisingly easy to do. It's a mechanism that rewards inactivity, which is one of my favourite sorts of gameplay. But you can double the amount of points before it hits the cap if you start in on some of these diplomacy perks. Basically, you've decided that diplomacy is your hat of choice, the old Planet of Hats thing. And it is all very Starfleet, it's all very Federation. Humans are the great diplomats. Well, they are if you pick enough of these perks and so on. Anyway, so it gets to the point where pretty much everyone around me in about 3/4 of the galactic disk it just really, really likes the humans. Everyone loves the humans because the humans keep giving us stuff for free and we don't know why. It's like a protection racket, only where the person didn't actually ask you to give them any money. But if you keep giving them gifts of surplus minerals or energy or research agreements and stuff, their opinion of you goes up and up and up.
Nice.
So eventually you get to the point where everyone is far, far more powerful than you, but they all really like you. And they can develop an attitude of not just friendly, but protective.
Okay.
Yeah. And so they get to the point where they all like you so much, it's almost like I'd become the mascot of the galaxy.
You basically have massive eyes looking at them.
We'd become the Porg Empire, yes. We're basically so cute and likeable that pretty much any empire would stomp on any other empire if they attacked us, which, is not the best position to be leading galactic destiny from.
Easy to win.
It's not really. Well, I mean, no one had invaded and taken over my world, so
you haven't really made any progress, though.
No, but it's the most number of turns I've made it into a game without being exterminated. So that's Yeah, now I come to explain that to someone else. But that's fine because that buys you time. And then that was how I started off. And now I've built up enough of my own resources and planets
Star
and fleets.
Destroyers behind the planet.
Exactly, yeah. Well, I'd sunk a lot of my time and research into not having to maintain an enormous fleet, because having the enormous fleet sucks up your materials and energy and all the rest of it in maintenance costs. So if you don't have a big fleet and you're just fine, no one wants to attack us, so we'll quietly get on and develop some really terrifyingly advanced terraforming and genetics technology, to the point where my cute little Porg humans can live on almost any planet in the galaxy and have almost no maintenance costs or anything. And then suddenly, surprise fleet.
Sudden Death Star.
But I've got I've managed to crank myself up from underwhelmingly inferior in terms of military and everything up to about equal with all my neighbours all of a sudden. And now they're no longer protective, they're friendly, because, long tradition of not stabbing them in the back with Death Stars. And now I've managed to sort of form a federation, which is this weird sort of new gameplay I hadn't really seen in any of the other sort of 4X Master of Orion types. Is that you can get a victory condition of, well, we're just so friendly with everyone that we formed a massive federation,
Fair enough.
pact, and all members of the federation, when they occupy more than 60% of the inhabitable worlds, will win the game together.
Oh.
So it's, you don't have to kill or be killed. You can all be friendly. You can friendly your way to victory.
Is this the most boring of the victories?
No, because each of these little quirky, because all these other empires around you that you're joining into your federation, they like me, certainly, but do they like each other? Yeah, suddenly it becomes that big Babylon 5 thing where you've got exasperated humans trying to stop them all killing each other. And that becomes an interesting sort of gameplay in itself, because you don't have any real direct levers with which to control how they like each other, but you can do subtle things like promoting your own ethics.
The ethics of not shooting each other.
Yeah, well, exactly. You get this
of
thing
keeping your weapons hidden.
Yeah, well, when you get enough friendship with another empire, you can do a thing called a migration treaty, which is where you just say, all right, well, individuals from each of our empires are allowed to just move and live inside each other's empires and stuff. And if enough humans migrate out to other empires, they take their philosophy with them. So what I've decided is the way to win is to infect the rest of the galaxy with humanism, which seems to be going quite well, because enough migration going out will start to shift all their different ethics and philosophy.
How many people
until eventually
do you have left?
Well, I'm breeding them at a fairer rate because I'm massively
Do you have farms?
I'm massively overproducing food, so my growth rate is much, much faster than all of theirs.
I've never quite understood how that works. The amount of food does not influence the number of babies.
Well, I suppose if you're prosperous and happy, you could think about the future and plan to have children. Whereas if you can barely afford to eat and are starving to death, you probably don't want to start raising a massive
Actually,
family.
I think I find that
I don't know.
the actual science behind it says if there's enough food and the life expectancy is high enough, then the birth rate goes
I'm
down
assuming
because
I
people
have-
aren't countering when they're having too many babies because they know some of them are going to die.
I'm assuming there's some galactic civil service taking care of all of that. But basically, I'm exporting people faster than any of are coming into my empire. So the overall outlook and philosophy of the galaxy as a whole is becoming more and more human, which means that the way they react to each other is becoming more and more friendly because they're becoming more human than not. And so eventually I will...
You've exported root beer.
I'm basically going to conquer the galaxy by stealth, by just making all the other species obsolete and extinct, and eventually it'll just be humans everywhere.
Fair enough.
All in a series of different nominal empires that are all very, very similarly aligned politically and philosophically, and we'll all be a federation and win.
Yeah.
That's my plan, anyway. Only Stellaris has some mechanisms to prevent that kind of nonsense.
Oh, okay.
So when
They've seen you coming.
they have sort of seen me coming, yeah, because what happens is during the startup, it seeds the galaxy with a number of enemy empires, or opponent empires, and so on. And some of these can be fallen empires, and some of these can be ascendant zealots and that sort of thing. They're different classes of empire. A lot of them are just similar to me, and off they go, similar to the player empire. But some of them start with like 4-star systems, an overwhelming advantage in technology and military might, and a policy of, well, we're just not going to get involved. Vorlons and Shadows.
Yeah.
They're basically, yes, the idea of an immensely powerful precursor race that you just do not want to poke with sticks exists in Stellaris. There are 2 of these in my galaxy at the moment, and they just sat there doing nothing. They will absolutely obliterate anyone who tries to build a colony next to their borders, but apart from that, nothing. They can't be reasoned with, they don't respond to the standard diplomatic stuff. They just don't care if you give them free food or free energy or whatever. And they can't be brought or bribed or anything like that. They just sit there. And I thought, oh, right, well, we'll just work around them then. You know, they don't seem to be aggressive, but they don't like anyone, but they don't come out fighting. Except when you build a massive federation that's in danger of overtaking the status quo of the galaxy.
Yeah.
So I've noticed that now I've got somewhere around 30%, 30 to 40% in our federation. Federations take turns. I think you're in charge for 10 years, then the next member is in charge for 10 years, and so on. And in that time, they get control of the federal fleet. So you can build ships for your own empire, or when you're in charge of the federation, you can build ships into a common pool that the federal leader can use to do Starfleet, essentially. Yeah, but when you're building federal ships, you're allowed to use technology from all of the empires, and that's interesting. Yeah. Anyway, so the idea is that fleet is useful for pursuing the aims of the federation as a whole, fighting its enemies or whatever, but. But when your federation gets large enough, it seems that triggers these ancient empires to decide, right, we're off on one now, and they will just suddenly start coming out with hugely powerful ships and so on. And so that seems to be a clever mechanism to keep the mid to end game interesting, because normally with these sorts of 4X games is when you get to a nice stable position of we're winning now, usually not a lot can unseat that. Yeah. It takes some real catastrophic mismanagement or just random events to unseat an empire that's in its sort of second, you get 2/3 of the way in and you're in control of everything, and it's just going, you just have to tick along and keep next turn until you win, and that can be a bit boring. But they've thought of that, and there are interesting things that happen in the mid and late games in Stellaris which you don't normally see, and I'm really liking that. Really interesting, keeps things fresh. So yeah, at the moment I'm trying to gradually diplomatically work up all the surrounding people who haven't joined our federation, largely with free sweets.
Best way.
Yeah, and once they get to a high enough acceptance level, they'll join. Some of them are already associate status, which is like a sort of trade agreement with the federation as a whole instead of individual empires. It has an interesting sort of multi-layered thing with the normal diplomatic gameplay in these things. I don't know. I have to try again at some point for the military game and see if that's possible. But I think the whole point of war scores and war demands and that sort of thing is that they really don't want it to be and now you have to fight to the death, and one empire will be destroyed, and then on you go. They've done a huge amount to try and make it so that the aim isn't to obliterate the enemy empire, it's to take a chunk and then agree terms, then go on for a bit, and then see what happens after that. So being attacked isn't necessarily, oh god, they've got the doom stack, it's game over. Usually they'll demand a planet or two, you could probably give it to them, and then they'll leave you alone for a bit. So, and there's the whole system of vassals and overlords and so on, which makes it a lot more of a nuanced thing than the usual thing. I'm really liking it. So I'm going to keep trying this whole federation, but I got a feeling these angry precursors might do for us in the sort of late game, which is another new thing I've learned.
You might want to try a bigger military.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm already running at my full military
Federation,
capacity.
Empire. Yeah, easy switch.
Yeah, just throw the good evil switch and go on a rampage. We'll see.
Yeah, you got to protect the people. These foreigners coming in, you've got to make sure that the alien races do not get the advantage over you.
It is a surprisingly subtle and nuanced thing for its type. It is fascinating, the sorts of advanced concepts they are applying to what we already thought was a done and dusted genre. So I recommend that highly. I'm still playing it a lot, but it's not something I can just play over a quick half hour of an evening. It's something you have to settle down and have a real good run up. But when you do, it's fantastic. I keep finding myself wanting to write bad fan fiction about the games in progress. It's got that space opera sweep. If you with a little bit of imagination, you can see it all going off in. It's a massive, like the Foundation series of Asimov's, or these, or a culture novel unfolding over hundreds and thousands of years, and all these different cuts and thrusts of empires and so on. It's really epic stuff, really stirring, and yet at the same time, it's just coloured blobs on a star map and little arrowhead ships moving about, But I really like it. It's good.
Okay, what was that game I was going to talk about? Danger Zone.
Danger Zone.
Yes. I only ever play games that seem to truly forgettable names.
That's quite generic, yeah. I'm thinking that's this for the Atari ST, is it?
Yeah. Now, this is a game by the founders of Criterion, who left and set up their own company.
Okay.
Because Criterion had gone horribly wrong.
Criterion, famous for your Burnout series.
Yeah, famous for the Burnout series. And now they just do bits for Battlefield and anyway.
Okay.
So they left and they decided to make some games, and they've made a series of, unfortunately, not quite spectacular games.
Oh dear.
One of which is Danger Zone, which is basically, in Burnout, what's the best bit of Burnout? Burnout being the best series of games ever made.
Depends.
Not Paradise.
If you say not Crash Junctions.
Exactly.
Yes.
This is Crash Junctions.
Yeah.
In a vehicle testing facility underground, because, legal reasons probably, where, funnily enough, what you have to do is, stop me if this is too confusing, you drive down a road, cause a crash, and collect power-ups, and if you get enough high enough score, you either get a bronze, silver, or gold medal.
I think
it's very original.
That sounds really good, actually. I mean, the Showtime thing in Paradise was terrible, but Paradise was really good for other reasons.
Yeah, but the best bit of all the other ones was the Crash Junctions. And this
is like a snooker trick shot, but with cars.
Yeah, this is just the Crash Junctions.
That's not a bad idea at all.
No. Unfortunately, for some reason, the game seems devoid of atmosphere.
Oh. Because you're in an underground testing facility.
You're in an underground testing facility.
They'll literally crash test dummies.
You don't have lovely soundtracks going on. You don't have DJs talking. You don't have any other things that the other games used.
Big part of the appeal, of the Burnout series. The now ubiquitous little dash, arrow, D-pad to change your radio tracks.
It just feels a little bit clinical, a little bit empty. And so you start, you've got this underground facility where you've got these blue doors which cars come out of, the roads laid out, and you have to do the thing. If you fall off the road and hit the ground, it's an instant death.
All right.
Which I don't like. I really don't like, because
you quite often fall off the ground, but careen into the thing anyway.
Yeah. In normal old Burnout, no matter what happened, you would be on the road or just out the way. In this case, if you're stuck and can't move, and then a truck hits you, you can be punted off the map and you'll lose.
Oh, that's not fair.
Which I do not like. I really do not like that mechanic. It really annoys me.
Yeah. Because it's not really something you get much control over.
No.
Yeah.
No, you have absolutely zero control at that point. And I don't like losing just because I happen to have been punted off the edge of the map.
Random quirk of physics.
Yeah. The rest of it is exactly the same. You've got jumps that you can take. You've got the cash power-ups you can get. You've got the crash breakers, actually called crash breakers. Obviously, the lawyers were okay with that one.
Yeah.
And basically roads with lots and lots of things going on.
A massive shame.
Yeah, it's just missing something. It failed to recreate what makes Burnout so fantastically brilliant.
Well, it was the gleeful anarchy and chaos of it all. I mean, okay, not an act. I wouldn't want to actually go out and do that in real life. But the idea of
it may hurt.
Propelling a car into a busy junction and stuff going everywhere and it just being absolute mayhem.
There's
a glee to that.
I don't know if it's just the reframing it to be a a testing environment with
Well,
crash test dummy logos everywhere.
Yeah,
and things
ultimately,
and-
I mean, all these games are just coloured blocks and shapes
Yeah.
that we manipulate to gain a sense of pleasure from our skill. But, I mean, it's how you dress them up. And this is a fascinating example in a way, because I sometimes wonder what would a racing game be like if it were literally a really sort of solid and dry recreation of a test facility for a vehicle manufacturer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what compared to, I don't know, Indy 500 or Grand Prix or whatever, it is literally just, you know, a man driving around quite fast but safely on an empty track with a load of people with clipboards watching. You know, is that a basis for a fun game? Because that's essentially what they've done here, isn't it?
Some of the practice sessions in the F1 games.
They've recreated a vehicle testing facility, not an actual vehicle thing.
But it does have the crashes and everything.
Well, yeah, but you've sort of robbed all the mayhem and glee of it. If
it doesn't feel subversive.
No,
it always felt
not at all.
subversive before.
Yeah. Oh my God, we're crashing cars for fun, you know. and there was a sort of because it's a computer game, you can live those unthinkable fantasies like piling into a busy traffic junction. But
and the presentation is completely lacking in any of the flamboyancy. That
you're almost
Burnout
starting
has.
to move over into things like Car Mechanic Simulator well, I mean, perhaps it's an unfair comparison, but Euro Truck Simulator, which is
also,
Euro Truck Simulator is not a racing game, is it? It's a game about carefully getting your
game that
cargo
I would
from
mention
one
is
place to another.
Test Drive Unlimited, which was basically the last of the Test Drive games.
Yeah.
Those two, which was here is all of Hawaii.
Yeah.
And you'll be driving around this now, and it's going to be serious racing and serious acting and serious stuff, but it's going to have none of the fun, which was a brilliantly interesting game.
Yeah. Sort
But-
of open.
Open world, drive
Just
around.
drive around
But
carefully,
it lacked any kind of,
Threat? Peril?
I don't know, it just felt dead.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But then you compare it to something like, Burnout Paradise or Forza Horizon, which, again, Forza Horizon is probably a good case. That feels subversive. You're going from racing event to a racing event in these festival areas, and it feels like a big, joyful
and you're being
exploration of and celebration of driving.
And you're being encouraged to go mad, encouraged to break the rules, encouraged to have fun with
Yeah.
it. Whereas I'd imagine just sitting there in some kind of vehicle, it almost feels like, I don't know, some sort of forensic examination facility.
Yeah, it's too clean.
It's like, and perhaps that's how they maybe should have done it. Maybe you should have sort of presented it as here are a series of road crimes, and we're going to quite carefully trying to work out who did it and what went wrong.
Just put them on roads.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? I mean, the whole it being a test facility.
I know the reason why they did it this way.
Because they're clearly not allowed to do
No,
another burnout.
I don't think it's that. I think it's purely a production costs. They cut down the amount of
'cause now you don't have to-
scenery they need, and it's just roads and bits on the roads and in this big square room. And
if it's all just concrete hangars or whatever, aircraft hangars, it's much
well,
easier
it's basically
to do.
sort of rusty metal walls and everything.
That's much easier to do than. If you ever played Burnout Paradise, you'll know how bizarrely and insanely detailed that city is.
Yeah.
When essentially you're just not even looking at half of it; you're just driving really fast down a road. But that must have taken a huge amount of time. And something like GTA, any kind of open world
we'll
driving
talk about
thing.
it a bit, but yeah.
But yeah, the idea that you'd have to pull in like 2 or 3 other extra studios
What
just to work on
happened
the
is
world.
They're now a company called Free Fields Entertainment, and they're based in Petersfield, by the way.
Okay.
Which is an interesting place for
Interesting
games.
factoid.
Yeah. Because, it being vaguely related to your walking.
I've walked somewhere near there.
Yeah.
Well done. Carry on.
It's the only games company. Was it Horsham? Which is where
that's a name that sounds
no,
familiar.
somewhere like that, which is where the people who make Total War come from.
Right.
Anyway, it's completely unrelated. Just two bizarre companies in the middle of nowhere. It's a small team, not much budget, and they've done their best, I think. But I think it needed a bit more for it to work.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't go far enough. Doesn't quite feel.
Does it meet
like,
expectations?
No, it doesn't. My expectations were all they have to do is recreate the crash junction.
So the Criterion was like what, an EA studio or something?
Criterion still is an EA studio.
So are we seeing a really sort of potent example of what AAA publishers actually managed to do and provide for a game versus two blokes in an office doing an indie thing? Are we looking at that's quite a good game for an indie studio? Is that the excuse?
If it had come along and there hadn't been burnouts, it would probably be a lot more interesting.
But it seems less than things that have gone before.
But I don't know. It might just be a case of it needed a bit more spent on it, but it wasn't, or it needed more music, or it needed something, but it is missing something, and I don't know what that is, and I don't know if that is a cost issue. I suspect it probably is a cost issue.
Time cost.
Time is costing games. But yeah, it's just missing that something, and I don't know whether or not.
So it's odd. It's like it's fallen down the middle between this like anarchic mayhem of crashing cars versus some weird sort of forensic solve the vehicle related crime by trying to recreate it and work out the clues.
Yeah.
Thing.
Well, it's always been that. It's always been if this crash was going to be the most chaotic, what would you hit and when?
Yeah.
And that has always been the key. But it just doesn't feel quite the same way anymore. And it might just be that you can't do that now. Those are games from 15 years ago.
Yeah, the Burnout 2 and 3 were the ones I quite enjoyed. And they're ancient. I was remember playing those on the original Xbox.
Yeah, they covered the crossover to 360, and that was it. Yeah. And then they died, and then we got Paradise, which is still the best racing game ever made.
It's a different game, though, isn't it?
But it's not Crash Junctions. And, the crash is in it.
But it's interesting if you distill out the Crash Junctions, which is what this game essentially has done, take them into an abstract form and just make them about moving blocks of colour and physics. It seems to be nowhere near as much fun.
Well, I wouldn't say...
Is it for what it represents, then?
I don't know. I wouldn't say they've gone that far. They haven't really abstracted it out. You've still got everything there. It just, it's missing something. That magic. And I don't know what it is. And I don't know if I should be alarmed by the alarm in the background.
I'm ignoring it.
Yeah, I'm ignoring it too.
I think the important thing is not to draw attention to it during the show. I thought I'd better
mention it just in case it's turning up on white, which it probably isn't, which is going to ruin everything.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so anyway,
Danger Zone.
Danger Zone. It's an interesting game. Not fantastic, but I think it's worth playing if you get it for a reasonable price, because it is Crash Junctions.
Wait for a sale, is it?
Yeah.
Fair enough. I'm going to talk about Warframe. We're really going with that. We've got a guild, and it's almost like semi-regular static nights and all sorts of things going on there.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've seen the comments on Slack about weird dojos. And
I know, perhaps we're going to...
They don't make any sense. I don't know what's going on, and I don't like it.
We might have to move away from the general chat and actually create a proper room for that, because it's starting to get a bit all-consuming. I'm hearing again and again from all sorts of people that they're amazed how much you get for free and how good it is,
Yeah.
Which I try not to be a fanboy for anything I play, really. I like to look at reasonably objectively at even the things I like. But just trying to think objectively, you get a lot for your money, and it is free to play. It is by the internal currency, and most of the things you buy are shortcuts around progress bars, timers, rather than things actual paywalls or anything like that. But yeah, I've given them a bit of money. I've been trying to spend some money on all the free-to-play stuff I play this week as a sort of Christmas present to them all, because it seems fair. I bought a guild stash tab in Path of Exile, a shared guild bank box, because I thought that might be useful, mostly so that Torag can give us our equipment, because none of the rest of us understand what we're doing with the theory craft. Torag, help! And I know I bought some platinum in Warframe, so I can basically just get a few more Warframe and gun slots. Those are the only things you can't grind out in game. Anyway, so we've been sort of bimbling around the early solar system, helping some of the newer people get progress done. It is an interesting game as groups. I mean, I sort of pug it a bit normally now and then when I have to, but I usually literally solo, just me on my own. But I don't know if the game scales for group size. It might do, but certainly some missions. I mean, you have to be a bit more stealthy if you're going to solo the stuff. Whereas if there's 4 of you, then it's quite difficult to be stealthy. So you might as well just go in all guns blazing. But we're also chipping away at various planet objectives, those junctions, which have a tick list of tasks to achieve before you can go to the next planet. We're sort of working towards people's ones of those and so on. Experimenting with some different warframes. I had the Rhino warframe, which is a sort of tanky, survivable one. You've got lots of damage mitigation skills, and and his number one ability is a sort of head-down charge, like an actual Rhino, that does damage as you blast through. Working on shotguns and things. I'm just surprised how sort of people are taken to it as well. Have you had a go?
No.
You should probably see what you think.
I probably should.
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear your comparisons to Destiny, because I've not played any of those things. But
Yeah, I need to play Destiny 2 as well.
fair enough.
My enthusiasm for Destiny 2 is not very high at the moment.
Yeah. So I've personally gotten to Sedna, which is that and Eris, and then there's the place called the Void after that. So there's only 3 places I've not got to so far in the entire solar system. Gone all the way around to Pluto. It got really hard from about Neptune onwards. I don't know if it's some buildcraft thing I'm missing, or whether they just expect you to be grouping more at that point. But really quite tricky stuff. Crashed through some of the more elaborate story missions as well. So there was one called The Second Dream, which I talked about before, and that was amazing. It was really good, really satisfying and well told. Now that's expanded on and culminated in one called The War Within, which answers pretty much all the other questions you had at the start of the game, because you get dropped into the beginning of Warframe with almost no explanation as to what the hell's going on. And some people find that really off-putting. For some people, that's a real problem. I mean, I quite like a sense of not explained, because it lets me imagine. But, so I had my own theories about what was going on as I went through. But I'm not even going to talk about what goes on in either of these quests, because they are hugely spoilerific and quite interesting, quite satisfying sort of reveals and twists and so on. And yeah, I got through the end of that and I thought, wow, that was amazing. And there's still lots of the game left to do. So my current personal goal at the moment is to get all the bits of the Octavia Warframe. I haven't got that one yet. That's the one with the step sequencer that you give it your own music.
Oh, nice.
That becomes buffs that you dance along to. Because now we've got a group, I think that might be quite fun.
Do you get to play on the Dance Revolution match?
No, I don't. No, it's not. I don't know. You do have to sort of, like I say, you have to all dance along in time to the music to actually get the buffs that are being generated by
There was
this
another
thing.
game that did that.
And it's just like unlike almost anything I've ever come across in any game whatsoever. So I've got the overall put the whole thing together blueprint, because you get that from the quest called Octavia's Dream, which unlocks a bit further into the planets. But then you need the chassis, the systems, and the neuroptics, and they come from various specific missions that you need to just rinse and repeat to get the drops for. So I need to crack on and work on those, because I just think it'd be fantastic trying that with a full group of friends. Because I've seen the Octavia turn up now and then in pug groups when I've tried, needed help to get through a boss fight or open relics or whatever. And usually they've just got they've programmed it in with some insanely high EDM. It's not even music. They've absolutely sort of min-max metagamed a sequence of noises that will give you the maximum performance. There is music, and that's doing it wrong. Yeah. No, you should just. It is literally like one drum beat every note, and every.
It's like the Stock Aitken Waterman style of music writing.
It's like a test pattern. It's like a signal generator. It's like and okay, fine. I don't know what that even means. And then they just piss off down the end of the mission anyway, because you've got to be within a certain proximity to be able to get the buffs anyway. So waste of time. Okay, whatever. But I'd like to sort of, see and try it properly. There's quite a lot of quirky Warframes in there. There's one called Limbo that I currently have that comes from a quest chain to do with the Archwings, and that one has this weird mechanic where you've got an alternate dimension. So when you double tap shift to dash, and normally it just makes you sprint forward, but when you do it in Limbo, he sprints forward and goes into an alternate dimension, and from the outside he looks all black and white and shimmery, but from your point of view everything else goes black and white and shimmery. And during that point in time you're not invisible. The enemies can still see and shoot at you, but none of it can physically interact with you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's a fantastic get out of jail free, oh my god, panic button, because you can just like sit in this alternate dimension invulnerably effectively for a while. But most of Limbo's abilities, number one is a blast thing, and that shunts anything in the cone into that alternate dimension as well. Yeah. So then, and they can't be hit, and that's a real pain in the arse if you're in a pug, because no one likes it when you make the enemies invulnerable. But then you can follow them in by doing the double tap shift thing, and then deal with them in there. So it's a way of taking you and some enemies out of a fight into your own space and deal with them separately, and they can't interact with anything else. Then when you do that dash, you leave behind a sort of shimmery lightning ball. Any other player who runs through that goes into that dimension with you. Oh, so it's a way of sort of essentially splitting a really complex fight onto 2 levels. And if you're really clever and cunning and everyone knows what's going on with it, you can pull a boss out into there and deal with them separately to the yard trash.
And are you all clever and cunning, and does everyone know what's going on?
No, not at all. It was really confusing until because I didn't really know what was going on and I was doing it. So that takes a bit of coordination, I think. But yeah, if you've got a particularly, there's a lot of rank and file stuff that have really irritating special abilities, and you can just pick that one out and take it somewhere else and deal with them. That takes the pressure off the rest of your team, particularly on large sort of hold the fort type defensive missions. Yeah, so that's interesting. I think Mag's my favourite currently. It's just lots of levitating kinetic powers and slams and that sort of thing. But yes, there's all sorts of other. I've got Oberon and Titania. Those I got all the bits to go done for those, and I've got them building. I don't know what those do. I think Oberon is a kind of paladin healer type, so we're sort of experimenting with actually having healing.
Wow,
I know. It's like almost Trinity gameplay. Actually, there is one called Trinity, which is a healer. So I haven't found the bits for that yet. There's so many interesting, quirky warframes in there, and it extends to the weapons as well. I got, because I've been playing a little while, and every day you get a login reward, and there's something that goes along track. The 100-day reward was a pistol called an Azima. It's a pistol that it's like it's like a sort of handheld machine gun thing. But if you use alternate fire, it launches its disc-shaped clip. The entire clip goes off and bounces into the scenery, and then pops up and becomes a hovering turret, firing off, but all its bullets in all
I was expecting to explode like in...
No, the glaive does that.
Okay.
No, it's all sorts of weird, quirky weapons. Yeah, okay, you've got your assault rifle, you've got your shotgun, you've got your sniper rifle. You know, if you're, a third-person shooter fan, you'll find a gun that corresponds to the sort of thing you like in other games quite easily. But there's all sorts of weird ones. There's a circular saw blade launcher. There's the glaive that bounces off stuff and you can detonate as it's flying. There's all sorts of grenade launchers and there's all sorts of crazy guns in there and melee things as well. So it is an interesting sort of exploration trying to find and try out all these new bits. We got a dojo on the go. So the dojo is a guild hall.
Okay.
Yeah, just in case you're wondering.
I was wondering. I sort of made that assumption.
It's basically the clan guild hall thing, and it reminded me a lot of the City of Heroes base building. You get all sorts of rooms you can add on to it all, and some of these rooms have functional abilities. One of them is a lab which lets you research all sorts of guild-specific, guild-only warframes and equipment as well. So we're already seeing concrete benefits to having a guild and having a guild hall. So it's going well. There's just lots of potential there, and at the end of the day, the basic gameplay, the running around enemy spaceships killing people with weird weapons and cool powers is a lot of fun. It's hugely kinetic, very smooth, and there's just a flow to it. I mean, I don't know how to describe it better than that, but I'm sure you know what I mean. That sort of, there's not all this stilted, hide behind cover, reload, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that sort of thing happens, but
it's the Halo Destiny style of...
I don't know what they've done, but there is some special magic ingredient
that's
that some
what
shooters
they always
have.
said about Halo, which was it's basically chunks of combat, and it just...
And I get that absolutely with this. I mean, some of the game modes, because all the different pips around all the different planets that represent different types of mission on various sorts of tile set, and things like exterminate, spy, capture, those are fun. There's some I don't like. I mean, the hijack one's a bit fraught. You basically have to try and propel a vehicle to the end of the level and cover it as you're shooting. There's the infestation ones. The infiltration ones. I don't like those. That's 4 points you have to hold simultaneously and stop the that's a lot of dashing about and fret. But then things like defence, 1 point in the middle you have to hold, and they come in waves. That's a lot of fun, especially in a group. We were just charging around. I think we're getting up to wave 15s and 20s and stuff, and it's just absolute pandemonium chaos. And you get that. It's also City of Heroes sort of feel. A full group of 8 people in City of Heroes with crazy particle effects and their own weird powers and stuff going on all the time is absolute. Just I start giggling constantly, and I get in that in here as well. 4 different warframes, all with their own weird, wacky, crazy powers and mad guns going off all over the place, and waves of trash coming in, and it's just an absolute blast. I just didn't really enjoy it. It's not elaborate. It's not profound.
It doesn't need to be elaborate and profound.
It's
though.
not some genre defining. It's absolutely fun. Yeah.
It's important to remember sometimes that games just need to be fun.
It's so easy to lose that, but no, I'm really enjoying it. The solo and group stuff, and there's usually another thing I really appreciate. They let you join mid-mission.
Oh, nice.
I know, so many games don't do that. Or if you get kicked off or lose connection or something, you just have to go and sit on the bench for the remaining 20 minutes until they're finished. No,
20 minutes if you're optimistic.
It's instanced gameplay of group size 4 and no more. But people on your friends list, if you set it to not, you got the drop down list. If you leave it on friends only instead of solo, then people can join you mid mission. They just suddenly appear and off they go. I think they don't let you join after the primary objective of a mission's been completed, but then that's usually, that's a small span. You're usually on your way out, and that's it.
Yeah, that's
just to stop you farming. But it's so flexible. Also, I'm not seeing any kind of major problem with level disparity. The mission that you choose determines what level it all is, and then people can join, to planets they haven't reached yet on their own solo progression. That's amazing as well. It's turning out to be one of those. The big list of criteria I always bang on about. I mean, is there sidekicking or mentoring? Well, there isn't, but it doesn't seem to matter. You make your own informed choice.
It's a skill-based game.
Yeah, skill-based game, so that helps a lot. It's going to be very difficult if you've only got level 10 guns and you join someone on a level 30 mission. That's going to be hard work. There's no apology for that, I suppose, but it'll let you try.
Yeah.
It doesn't just say no, you're too low. It doesn't. There's no sort of class structure. The whole Trinity gameplay of standard MMOs, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. There are healing warframes, there are defensive warframes, and I suppose there's some degree of taunting a bit, but it just doesn't think in those terms because it's a shooter.
Yeah.
It's a skill-based shooter at the end of the day. So that kind of stuff helps, but it doesn't matter. You don't need a healer. You don't need tanking or anything like that. You just need good skills with weapons. And then the other one is group size. Well, 4. I mean, four's less than ideal. I'd like to see more. But then I typically like to see group size 13 in my MMOs. That seems to be the magic number when we get going.
The moment that happens, you'll get another one.
It's a raid at that point, and that goes completely out the window geometrically. Because typically adding more players is a geometrical progression of difficulty.
Yeah.
It's not just add 25% to everything and off you go. It's you're multiplying at that point. But 4's fine. 4's an easy number to balance for, certainly. It seems to be, but with that comes you can join mid mission if you've got a spare slot, and that's something we like, so that's good. And what happens if one of our team disconnects during the match? They just log back in and immediately reconnect back into the mission. Nice. Rejoin. It does a lot of things right, and I think it seems to have been greatly overlooked by myself even for quite a long time. I get the impression, though, it wasn't always this great. Everyone's raving about it now, but I got a feeling in its early years it was pretty average,
most of these games tend to launch badly, it feels.
It didn't seem to come. I got the impression it was just really boring and rinse and repeaty, and this whole planet structure and the story missions and stuff, that all came much later. I don't know a lot about the early history of it, but it's certainly grown into the right place now. It seems to be doing quite well. I mean, it's been very high on the concurrent players on Steam stats for a very long time. But I don't know if that means anything particularly. But I don't know.
That's usually a good sign.
Yeah, we like it, and it seems to be going from strength to strength at the moment. They've done latest update is Mirage Prime. They do this Prime thing, special fancy golden versions of each of the Warframes you can buy for cash. I don't really follow that stuff much myself, but I think the next big thing people are going to be looking out for, probably in the next year or so, will be more open world roam zones, a bit like the Plains of Eidolon, because I think their overall ambition, I think from what I gather, is to have one of those per planet. So that'll be quite interesting.
Sounds like the Destiny patrols to me.
I don't know, but yeah, possibly. And with that open zone came mining and fishing. Some of them were doing some of the chaps are doing that, and that's how you know it's a proper MMO. It's definitely an MMO now.
So it's massive walking robot-y warsuit things.
Warsuits with spears. Going for fish. It's spears, not fishing rods, but yes. Yeah. And special pistol-style mining lasers. But yes, mining and fishing in a pseudo-open zone. It's not really a standard MMO open zone. It is still an instance, just a very, very large one. But I guess it takes multiple players if you join a group. I don't know. But there's just lots to see and still lots of bits and pieces, lots of lots of side tasks to do. It's not all just about get to the end of the planets. You go off at any point and do side stuff, farm for Warframe bits, or do side missions, all sorts of stuff. Enjoying it a lot.
Cool.
Yep. Over to you.
Okay, I was casting around for a game to play the other day because I've had 2 hard drives fail this year so far. It's really annoying, and so I've had to
looks like carelessness.
I'm having to reinstall games constantly because I did have my entire Steam library downloaded, but now no.
Your entire Steam library is substantial.
It is. It's only 700 odd games.
I don't think I've got 100 yet. I think I must be somewhere around 40 to 50.
Oh, I'll send you some spares.
Please don't. I've already got 3 games I haven't gotten around to starting yet. I got
3
Tales of the Borderlands.
Yeah.
I got that Stories Like Us thing you gave me.
Yeah.
You said was important.
Yeah.
It's like an art game. And Echo. Echo. The woman running around that spaceship with the.
Oh yeah,
that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's that one that learns from how you play and throws your mad skills back at you.
You are so doomed.
I know. I'm quite predictable.
Although if the enemies are all hiding from you.
But Echo, yeah, Dave's gave me that as a gift.
Oh,
so
cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, you need to play more games.
I know. I've got those 3 lined up for God's sake, Tim, talk about something else show coming up. But at the moment, but at the moment, I'm just still really enjoying the games I'm currently playing. So that's a problem.
Yeah. Anyway, one of the games I downloaded to refill in my gaps in my library was GTA 5.
GTA 5. That's on my to-do list.
It really should be.
It's not because I necessarily really want to be a gangster in LA shooting up people and stealing stuff.
It's not about being a gangster in LA. It's about existing in a exquisitely put together world.
Massive contemporary open world type thing. I mean, that's the sort of thing that appeals to me. I quite like just driving around a mocked up pretend Los Angeles, I suppose.
And something that was really hitting me while playing it was everything people have been saying recently about how everything's going to games as a service, which is the bolloxiest term you've ever heard.
Last time I looked into getting GTA 5, I looked on Steam and it was negative reaction, and I thought, hello, some big storm of controversy.
It's got to do with GTA Online.
Yeah,
which I completely ignore because I don't care.
Is it because they have the temerity to sell DLC?
No, they don't have DLC. That's the problem. Oh. All it is GTA Online, which has turned into this microtransaction hell.
Paid for mods, is it?
Well, not even that. It's just, would you like to pay money to play this online version of the game? And my answer to that is, I don't care about your online version of the game. I will keep playing the normal one because I don't care.
I have a similar story I'll tell you about next.
Yeah, and so I've been a bit worried about the fact that obviously when it comes to GTA 6, they may not actually have hinted that they're not going to actually bother with a big story mode and just turn into this online nightmare.
Oh, is this constant sort of campaigning about EA giving up on single-player games?
Games as a service.
Games as a service.
Why bother charging once when you can charge 100 times?
I just can't help getting the impression that the entire marketing departments of all these companies have got the wrong end of the stick about what microtransactions actually is and means.
Yeah, it doesn't matter anymore.
I suppose not.
That ship has sailed, sunk, and been abort.
I'm not even attempting to fight those battles, no.
But it does worry me that the world in this and the writing, not so much the writing on the missions, but the writing on everything else. The little pickup missions you get and general random encounters you get in the world as you go through. It is exquisitely done. It is a fantastic game that has so much detail in it all the way down.
A lot of why I game is that I love the idea of exploring imaginary worlds.
Yeah, and this is a game where you can explore this map for a year. I mean, this is the third time I played this game on the third platform.
Okay.
And I stopped because, I'd seen it all. But it's been, 2 years since I've been playing it now? And so going back to it, it's all fresh again. And so all the stupid things you can do, like, just decide to drive up that mountain because why not? And all those fun things are back and they're fun again. And I'm not worried too much about following the plot because I know where the plot's going to go. And that's got some interesting bits, but I know I don't need to do it because I know that the repercussions of me doing this next mission don't matter. So I might as well just try and buy all the buildings.
I mean, it's a shame that these elaborate, lush and fascinatingly detailed worlds that are ripe for endless exploration can somehow only seem to be delivered through the medium of a contemporary gangster heist tale,
Well,
I'm thinking of the Saints Row stuff as well. There were some elaborate and fascinating worlds there as well, but you had to do it through the lens of Johnny Gatton, his wacky antics.
It's not entirely true. Something like Red Dead Redemption, new one coming out next year.
PC one, hopefully.
No,
Red Dead
no
2?
chance.
No? Is it not PC? Oh.
It's not with PC. But that, again, is going to be an exquisitely built world, but it's going to be told for the tale of combat in...
Through violence and brigandry,
and it's not necessarily a bad thing because it is the Wild West, but... And also, how much of that is actually going to be plot and how much of that is going to be Red Dead Online and,
well, whatever. But let me loose in a fascinating and huge world full of interesting little nooks and crannies.
Yeah, but... the world in GTA 5 is still fantastic. You really should play the game, and you really will enjoy just driving around having fun.
Well, I got Witcher 3 to sort of get through. That's a similar kind of experience from what I gather.
Witcher 3 is
explorable.
Witcher 3 is so good it's broken fantasy RPGs for me.
I still haven't played it. I've got Fallout 4. I've not gotten around to yet.
You not even started Fallout 4?
No, never.
Oh, okay.
Never.
Interesting
I finally caught up with the New Vegas.
Interesting episode coming up for the Fallout 4 discussion.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of these enormous worlds. I mean, Dragon Age Inquisition is probably not as good as Witcher 3, but again, another vast world to have a poke around in. I save them as precious morsels for the future.
When they stop making single player interesting games.
When the real world gets really, really bad, I retreat into these for months and months at a time. But at the moment, I'm doing lots of hiking and enjoying the real world, so that's slowing me down a bit.
Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, on that topic, then I've been giving Skyrim Special Edition a go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which is more Skyrim.
Well, I've always loved Skyrim because of all of the reasons I've just said. Yeah. And I'm constantly playing it. Usually, most of the time, it's been installed since it came out on my machine.
About Skyrim.
But I thought, well, I'd taken a bit of a break, and I thought, let's try this. Because then I noticed in Steam it was there for free. I don't remember. I didn't buy it.
You had the original Skyrim.
I had the original Skyrim.
Yeah. It was
via Steam.
It was one of the good cases where they decided we can't really get away from recharging for this. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, the thing with Skyrim Special Edition is it is literally Skyrim. It's Skyrim and Dragonborn and all the DLCs.
Fine, but you had them. You wouldn't.
I had them all already.
You only got it if you had all the DLCs.
Yeah, I did have all those. Yeah. So there's no new content there, I don't think, unless there's a side quest or two they've added. But it's an engine upgrade, and basically the key again. I thought, well, okay, but. Because I've modded the crap out of my original Skyrim with all sorts of environment, landscape, fancy trees, god ray blooms and stuff. And apparently Skyrim Special Edition, I fired that up vanilla just to have a look at it. And it looks all right. It's a bit more detailed. I think the texture resolution's up by one multiple.
Yeah.
They've done quite a lot with the lighting in there. They're very proud of their god rays, and they do look good, shining down through the trees and stuff. There's something interesting with Special Edition is that distant campfires and things show and pop much better on the landscape now. It's almost on the level of Just Cause 2, the sort of distant gleams of cities and stuff. So you can see, campfires and cities and houses and stuff from much further away at night, which is interesting. And the engine, it always flew along originally on the base edition, Old Rim, as they call it nowadays.
Oh, clever. I saw what they did there. I wish I was that witty.
I know, I strive. But yeah, that flew along anyway, so I'm not really seeing any benefit of engine optimizations or anything like that.
Well, there's one massive benefit. Because
it's huge. Well, exactly, 64-bit.
Yeah, 64-bit.
And that is a huge thing for me because I'd had about 150 mods to my original Skyrim game, and it starts to creak a bit.
It does, rather. It's creaking before you add the mods, to be fair.
It takes quite a while to load, and then every so often it will just crash to desktop with no warning and dump its guts out. Because original Skyrim's a 32-bit game and is only capable of addressing the first 3 gigabytes of memory. Now, we've got SSE, Skyrim Special Edition, not the utilities company, and that's a 64-bit game. Now, I don't know how well they've done or what they've done. They've just is it one compiler switch or something?
Yes.
Fair enough.
It is a lot more difficult than that, but yes, it is one more.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
You then have to fix every bug that causes. And with Skyrim, that is a lot of bugs.
That's a lot of bugs, yeah. Already there's an unofficial mega patch. That was one of the first mods I downloaded. So I thought ran around with it vanilla for a bit. I thought, this is quite nice. And then I went off to Nexus and started downloading all the special edition mods. And most of the mods have been converted across, so I was able to get my UI.
There was a lot of trouble getting working.
The big killer was SKSE. It's the Skyrim script extender, which was what a lot of the more elaborate mods hung off of for the original one, and that. There's been a real problem for quite a long time. In fact, only in the last month or two, they've got a stable alpha of a 64-bit version of that one, and the Sky UI mod hangs off of that, and that's the one that makes the user interface usable. My God, Bethesda cannot design a user interface to save their lives. They can't UI their way out of a wet paper bag with enormous writing on the side.
There's a lot they can't do.
Yeah, they need to hire a UI designer, for God's sake. I mean, I get that they're designing for the console and they're designing for someone sat on a couch 8 feet away from the screen.
But still, it's clunky on console.
And it's unusable on a PC. It's this horrible, drifty mouse wheel nightmare of massive menu comes in with the side with 6 items on, and you're carrying about 300 or 400 items. So scroll.
It's annoying. It's really annoying on console.
It's terrible.
We have high-res displays on consoles now.
Yeah. So one of the reasons I'd been putting off examining examining Skyrim Special Edition for so long was that there just wasn't the support for the Sky UI mod because this thing. So now there's an alpha version of that, and I'm going to try that soon. But that's what got me thinking. All right, well, let's have a look at it. Lots of already. I've had to download about 15 or 16 texture improvement mods. The Special Edition still didn't have 4K textures.
No, of course not.
So that's a whole bundle of packs I've downloaded for those. There's all the trees and the popping distant trees and terrain and the distant mountains and stuff all being jaggedy. That's all still in there.
Look up Substance Speed Tree.
Yeah,
those two things will make your life a lot nicer.
It's not like they couldn't afford to license the stuff. No. Anyway, so I'm running around in there. Started again. Oh God, off to Bleak Falls Barrow to get the bloody Dragonstone again. Yeah, I might have to look into that. I think this was it. Live Another Life is a popular mod which basically just rewrites the entire starter. You on the back of the prisoner cart.
Oh God,
job.
So the first 6 hours, then you get off the cart.
Yeah, the first 6 hours that you have to do before you can reasonably go off and enjoy yourself with any kind of basic conscience. Yeah, that's all. I don't know what it is. I think you start life as someone else entirely and presumably get to the action much quicker. Another one I've downloaded that I'm quite interested in and I'm going to have a look at is Beyond Skyrim. It's this huge project that a lot of people are collaborating on to try and recreate Oblivion. Well, no. There's one called Sky Oblivion, which is literally attempting to recreate the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion using the Skyrim engine. What Beyond Skyrim is
that the Morrowind one?
No. There's Beyond Skyrim. Bruma is out so far, and Bruma's the northernmost city in Oblivion in Cyrodiil. And what they're doing is they're essentially expanding the borders of the world. But set in the same time period as Skyrim, because Skyrim's set a couple hundred years after Oblivion, but they've decided, right, we're just going to...
Has anyone torn that bloody statue down?
I don't know, I haven't actually gone... But I've downloaded and installed it, I haven't gone to look at it yet. But basically, once you've got Beyond Skyrim Bruma installed, you can go to the south... the very south of the Skyrim map, there's this big gate with a roof on it that just doesn't take you
sort of hinted towards DLC.
Yeah, well, apparently you can go through there and there's a whole extra section full of a lot of the fondly remembered Aelid ruins, apparently, have been recreated. Yeah, it's not just, we're just going to, make another field full of Skyrim standard dungeons. I think they've actually gone and done quite a bit of work to try and recreate the stuff that was literally in Oblivion. I don't know, I'm going to have a look. And the projects are ongoing. I mean, it depends how... presumably they're going to expand it further into the rest of Cyrodiil and who knows where. I think I've seen one where someone was trying to tackle Elsewhere, which is where the Khajiit come from, the desert-y bit. I don't know. There's all sorts of well-meaning fan projects, but you know what those are like.
Yes.
Enthusiasm and capability and people doing stuff for free. And then at the end of it all, you've got some nearly professional, polished mod that you're not allowed to sell or do anything with because you've basically stolen someone else's IP.
The number of times that makes people confused as to why they get takedown notices.
You sort of 50 or 60 well-meaning fans spend 3 years working hard to almost professional standards to create essentially double the content of the base game, and then there's a DCMA takedown. No, you can't have it. Yeah, which makes you make me wary about trying to contribute to something like that. So there's not much to say about Skyrim. Talked about it to death over the years, but it's interesting seeing the new engine, and I've not had it crash once with any of these mods so far. So
wow.
So I just need to get that Skyrim 64-bit thing and the Sky UI thing installed to see if I can get my usable menus and lists back again, and we'll see how that is, because the 64-bit script extender is in alpha at the moment. It's a public alpha. They've released it and people are reporting it works well enough, so there'll be a lot of edge case blips here and there, I suppose, but encouraging.
Do you want my Skyrim rant?
Go on then.
My Skyrim rant is Skyrim VR.
Oh, have you tried it?
They're charging for it full price.
Oh God, it's such a not suitable game for VR.
No, it really isn't. And I want to know how not suitable it is. I'm not forking out 40 quid to play it.
They should give that to anyone who's got Skyrim.
Exactly.
Like they did with the special edition. So that's a bit cheap. They've done a Fallout 4 one as well, haven't they? Fallout 4 VR. I think it's either here or soon.
Yeah. Also,
is it the click to teleport to somewhere I'm looking at? I think.
Also, XVR.
XVR.
Again, full price.
X Rebirth, one of the most reviled games in history, is still like the 12th worst game on Metacritic or something like that.
Don't charge for the VR things. VR is not mainstream enough to get away with charging full price.
I bet VR works a lot better in X than it does in Skyrim.
I can
because you're sat in a spaceship. Yeah, exactly.
Do what Elite did. You use VR as a thing to bring people in and have it as an extra feature rather than a selling point on the game on its own.
Yeah. Well, not knowing you can get away with it. Yeah, but remember, people who own VR headsets will think nothing of dropping just 60 quid on the same game they already own.
No, that's why I don't buy any VR games anymore. Because there's nothing interesting and new that I don't think that's probably a terrible idea, but there's no way for me to find out if it's a terrible idea.
I think augmented reality is the future, not virtual reality.
No, funny you should say that. A lot of people
HoloLenses
do.
and whatever.
Well,
Pokemon Go.
It's not so much HoloLens, it's the ones that Microsoft support from the third parties now. So, that's what Microsoft
I think that's going to be the future of gaming.
I don't. I think that the future of gaming is going to be the president of gaming, just with more microtransactions and loot boxes.
Well, I'm out of things to talk about. If you just,
Have I ended it on a big downer?
yeah,
Yeah, I'm out of things to talk about as well.
do your spiel.
You can go along to hannahmurdertime.com where you can find all our previous episodes where we don't end on massive downers. Or you can go along to YouTube where you can find all of the videos of these shows going back however long.
Watch me hiking. That didn't end on a massive downer.
Lots of him hiking.
That ended on the downs.
Yeah, lots of downs, not downers. Even though you did ignore James Bond references.
I'm sorry.
I should have sent that.
I turn my mobile data and stuff off when I'm on the road on hiking because it saves battery.
I did send it on Saturday, thinking it was Friday.
Oh,
because I'm on holiday at the moment, so I got no idea what day of the week it is.
fair enough.
And also join us in a couple of weeks' time where we'll have probably 2018. I don't know, something like that, isn't it?
Oh, is it an end of year thing?
Yeah. Well, no, we probably won't do an end of year thing. So I can't
Absolutely
remember
nothing
a single
happened.
thing about what happened this year game wise.
Nothing.
And I look forward to what's coming up in the next year, but I don't know what's happening in the next year. So it's be just like this, really.
Fair enough.
More of the same.
So with that, we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.